I would like to say I was very happy to accept the invitation for this panel. I have prepared some slides first to introduce myself and then to discuss some ideas that I believe. Of course, I don't have all the answers. I don't even have them for myself, but I believe that's why we are here, to learn from each other, right? So here in this slide, I just highlighted some important information about myself. I have a bachelor degree in computer science and another one in electrical engineering. Then I also have a master and a PhD in electrical engineering. I did all of this here in Brazil. However, when I was a PhD student, I received the Microsoft Research PhD Fellowship Award. So I spent most of my PhD working with researchers from Microsoft, and I also spent some time there in Seattle. After that, I was a postdoc at UCSD, and then I moved back to Brazil, here in São Paulo, where Samsung opened a research center, and where I'm currently the research leader in the media standards team. So I lead a small team of PhDs. We work with image, video compression, processing, and streaming. And of course, this work is very related with media standards. Here in Brazil, we have many professors working on this topic, but we are the only industry research team working in media standards, not only in Brazil, but also in Latin America. So in order to do that, I actually had to create the JPEG and PEG Brazilian delegation because we didn't have one. And I still serve as the head of the delegation. So it has been a lot of work, but very interesting too. So as you can imagine from my CV, I've been surrounded by boys, right, for the last 23 years. And I say it's me and the boys. So on the top, you can see this is the picture of my electrical engineering graduation ball in 2004. You see like 100 guys, only 2 girls. So I have been a minority for all those years. And of course, I've been to many situations that most of you probably have also been to. But I can say that what surprised me is that, of course, we are not only a minority, but very underrepresented at the top as well, and not only for engineering, but for all the areas in STEM. So the Brazilian Academy of Science has a program where all the full old members, every year, they nominate, they select, and they vote for 10 young members to be temporary members of the Academy per region. And of course, when you talk about sciences, we are including here biology, chemistry, medicine, many areas where you have many girls as undergrad students and also grad students and even professors. Even though this was the situation when I was selected in 2016, I was the only woman. All the other guys here, they were from other fields such as biology, chemistry, and medicine, physics, etc. So as you can see, the situation is not only tough for us in engineering, it's also tough for all the women in STEM, especially in the top. And I believe this is because the Brazilian Academy of Science, when we talk about full members, we just have 14% of members, only 40% of members are women. And when we talk about engineering specifically considering all the engineering areas plus computer science, we are only 2.5%. So the situation is, of course, still very tough. Here, just a few more pictures to prove I'm alone. This was my first JPEG meeting in 2018 in San Diego. I was the only girl in JPEG. Of course, in MPEG, there were more girls, but in JPEG, I was alone. And here is the last picture I took with my team and with some external university partners. This was a working dinner here, just before few months before coronavirus. But this being the only girl in the class situation always bothered me. So when I was at Microsoft Research in 2009, I got in contact with, I learned about the IEEE Women Engineering Affinity Group. And then when I came back, I was able to find 8 other PhD students in other labs, and we were able to found the group here. And I have been involved with the group since the creation, so for 10 years. And we have done lots of interesting things. And of course, things that I believe all group that is related with this topic should do. So we have been doing mentorship. We have been doing talks with female role models, projects with high school girls, talks about imposter syndrome, PhD student life strategies and difficulties, effective networking, get involved in professional associations, personal life planning, passion for engineering and research, being different, not a culture fit. So we discussed all these topics. We did a lot of things, and I really would recommend this type of group. You will be able to discuss, not only discuss and be involved with these projects, but also make some very good friends. In 2010, nobody was still talking about this, right? We didn't have like women in talk sections like this in conferences. And I believe this really started with Cheryl in 2013 with the Lean-In movement. I believe you all know that and what they talk about. So sit on the table, be visible, have a supportive partner at home, don't leave before you leave, keep women in the workforce, so flex time, mentoring, equal pay, stop sexual harassment. So all those things are super right. Very, very, very important. But after some time, people realize that, you know, this is still not enough. We still have very few women at the beginning and even less women at the top, right? So people currently, they have been thinking and talking about these topics from the Lean-In movement, and they have been saying, look, we know what is the problem, we know what is missing. The problem is that you have been focusing only on women. So you have been telling women what to do, how women should behave, what are the policies developed for women. And the problem is that we must include the men, right? This is what we really have to do. And I made sure to go to the description of this talk in the ICMA website, and it was saying everybody is welcome. So my first message here is that every time we discuss something like this, we must make sure that really everybody is welcome. And the main reason for this is because of something called implicit bias. So from my point of view, this is something that must be included in every single gender issue discussion currently, right? So this is very, very important because implicit bias is something that you are unaware, and all of us have it. Even if you think you don't have it, just go to, you know, TED Talks, Google, YouTube talks. There are many, many interesting talks about this. You see all of us, we do have some implicit bias. Implicit bias is because our brain creates images that are familiar to us, and we like to be around people who look and act like us. So of course, this may be good for friends and family, but for companies, this is terrible. There is no diversity at all. So this is not a man or a woman issue. This is a human issue. So I'm pretty sure everybody heard about the Heidi and Howard CV study. If you didn't, please look at it. It's very interesting. It shows how we really have this implicit bias. But right now, we are in a world where engineering and computer science requires logical, rational thinking and reasoning, while our society assumes that female are sensitive, emotional, caring, committed to families. Male are rational, confident, aggressive, committed to jobs. And these male features are much more valuable than the female features in terms of higher payment and better jobs. So of course, all of us know men who are sensitive, emotional, and caring, and men that are rational, confident, and aggressive, and very committed to their jobs. But this is very connected with what we are talking here about implicit bias, what people are familiar with. Right, so it's very important to talk about this. And for us, this is also important because now we have the female intelligence, commitment, and skills always more challenged due to implicit bias. And if one woman fails, this failure will be associated to all of us, to all other women. We all know that, right? Because there are so few of us in this position. So my main message here is the work must be done with men. People, men and women, must be confronted to overcome their own gender bias. This is very important for everybody. This is also important for us to be aware of this because sometimes it's not really about us. So for instance, I have friends, they go to interviews, they say, oh, I didn't get this job, maybe because I have a kid. And what I tell them, based on my relatively short experience in hiring people and dealing with HR people, is that if the person that is the decision maker has this implicit bias, it really doesn't matter. If you are not married, they will think, oh, she will marry as soon as she gets the job and she will have kids. If you are married, they will say, oh, she's desperate for having kids. She will have kids as soon as she have the job. If you are older, they will say, oh, she couldn't have kids, her own kids. So she's trying to adopt kids for sure. She will adopt a kid. The kid will arrive here and she will live the next day. So what I want to tell you, my advice is like, if you want to have kids, just have kids. Tell you, do what you want related with this topic, because it really doesn't matter. If you are applying to a job and you find a person who has this belief, even if it's something unconscious, it really doesn't matter if you already have the kid or if you still don't have the kid. You are a woman, and this is enough, right? So this is why implicit bias is so important. And my last advice message, I think that this is very important. Men, most of them, they are allies. They are not our enemies. So we must work with them. We must include them. This is even more important, more than ever. We must include them not only to help us, but also to help them, because everything that we are discussing here is also important, and the opposite side is for them, right? So this will make a better society in general. So this is my general message. I hope we have the chance to discuss it more in our discussions here. Thanks.